Right, hello everyone, and welcome here for the qualifying session here for round 11 out of 16 here in the ACOC Formula One Championship. Here we have traveled 212 kilometers away from our previous round, which was in Hockenheim, here to travel into what is known as the Green Hell, once the term coined by Jackie Stewart here for the Nürburgring here in the GP layout here. It is a different commentary team here for the time. I'll be a co-commentator here, and joining me alongside with me here for this amazing spectacle here for this season is Posa. Good afternoon, Posa.
Hello everyone, it's been a while since I last commentated here in ACOC booth, back when it was the 2019 Porsche Super Cup. I have returned, and this would be one of the exciting ones, I would say, that I will be commentating.
Absolutely, as well, with all the championship standings as well. Certainly is a very interesting race from what happened in the previous round here with the championship lead. Hometown hero Dennis Graff actually comes in here with a 5-point margin, having his lead actually dwindled just a bit by Jesper Johansson, who was actually leading the race and would have led the championship unless, unfortunately, for though he lost 2 positions in the closing stages, which did not allow him to take the championship lead. The hometown hero Graf will keep the lead though. But here we go. We're going to have a look at the layout here of the Nürburgring here. This track here, it's one of the oldest in Europe. Actually, it was completed in 1927. Actually, one of the first iterations of this track, actually, as a street circuit. Sorry, yes, it is. But this Grand Prix layout here that Daniel Valle is starting his lap now. This was actually finished in 1984. Of course, the notorious Nordschleife was a staple in the Formula Ones ever since I believe it was the 1960s. I believe, yeah, it was around that time actually. But the Formula One here has a very good historic place in this track, though, having hosted the German Grand Prix multiple times. And if it wasn't the German Grand Prix, then it would also host other names such as the European Grand Prix. And despite not being Luxembourg, its close proximity to Luxembourg would also give it the Luxembourg Grand Prix as well. Last time this was hosted here was in 2020, which is the year that we're currently in here, as the Eifel Grand Prix, which is given its name to its proximity to the Eifel Mountains, actually, which is absolutely very beautiful as well. This track here has got some very good elevation changes as well. This Grand Prix Strecke circuit actually has 15 turns, 5.12 kilometers circuit as well. And it has a capacity. It's actually one of the strongest capacities actually in the world, I think, with 150,000 actually. Daniel Valle sets a provisional time though for 1 minute 32. That will be the staple though, as Sinitschke definitely improves as the Ferrari driver gets himself into the 131s at the moment.
Well, it is being, one of the historical tracks that everyone has visited. I mean, certainly we will see plenty of actions here, but with this regulations, Jamie, it feels like sometimes the overtaking might not be possible in some corners.
Yeah, I can understand where you're coming from, especially given that how wide these cars are actually. This track was actually, that was built in the 1984s, was designed for 1984 spec cars, which were a lot smaller and a lot faster with a better acceleration. But these were known for their downforce and their wineness as well. It's going to be very hard for these cars to actually navigate through these corners and get some good overtakes, though. But yeah, so this is why this qualifying session here, especially for qualifying 1 for the midfield cars, is going to be very important for this track. It's going to definitely set the staple though for these cars here. But very interesting thing to note is with Alfred Klaus actually down to 10th so far on his first one, which is really surprising actually for the Red Bull driver, actually, as Jesper Johansson is trying to close his lead. Was going to go provisional pole for the qualifying 1, but Perechki just tops them off with a 131.181.
Well, that's a big time, to be honest. And if you see the camera cuts a bit, but would you see there Samuel Oskan is actually returning to the competition once again after recovering from the injuries that he had back at the Belgian Grand Prix. He's currently sits in the top 10 so far. But well, the rest of the drivers are now setting lap times, and there's Blackwood goes up to 13th, and then Victor Albon were now in 18th place. Emilia Konishina goes up to 8th in the Alfa Romeo. Well, I would say definitely pretty much out of my comfort zone at this point of how these qualifying sessions are going on with all the midfield cars are getting real close to each other.
Yeah, absolutely as well. It's definitely to see some surprises there. You don't see the Alfa Romeo getting themselves into the top 10 so early, though. But we see with Jesper Johansson, he improves and he topples his teammate to go himself faster by 600s actually faster than his Macedonian teammate of Prix, which is really good, what Jesper needs. Meanwhile, I think that was a good improvement there from Klaus. He's finally getting that Red Bull up into the standards that it actually should, which is into the top 10 for sure. And it does show that he's not Alfred Klaus is not actually struggling here. We did mention this before. The last time he's actually won a race was back in Barcelona this season. So it's really weird to see him kind of outside the podium, which kind of was the case up until his last race as well. So maybe this could be a change of fortunes, maybe for the Swede potentially.
Yes, certainly. With all the other cars, and there's Fernando Tost there goes up to 4th. Meanwhile, Frederic Suto goes up to 15th, just about in the cut-off zone there. And then Franco Gamba goes up to 6th place in Renault. Nice one there.
Yeah, that was absolutely amazing there. Really surprised there for Blackwood to get himself up to 13th, though. But yeah, that's absolutely surprising. Also, Joseph Frederic Suto, I think, might actually get himself into Q2 if the positions stand the way it does. And Sassetti as well, all the way up into 17th. You don't actually see Williams being up there, though. And considering that the cars that are behind them with Luca Farina and Pumas Mandic, which some of the people in the community actually predicted that Mandic would actually maybe get his first, second place, though. And Luca Farina is actually heading to the pit, so it's going to be a very desperate last-ditch attempt for the Italian, though. But that's not exactly where the Ferrari or the Racing Point, surprisingly, is meant to be, 19th and 20th respectively.
Oh yeah, both of them. I think they need to it's either make or break for them in this lap, which is definitely putting some pressures on them as well, as we see now. Emilio Nilsson goes down and still not yet get out of the cutoff zone. Still stays in 16th.
Yeah, I think he was probably held back by, I think that might be Daniel Valle, maybe ahead of him, that did not actually make him improve his time, especially in a track like Hockenheim. It's really downforce dependent, so if you're going to be in a train, it's definitely going to hinder your progress, though. There's Thomas Mandic. He desperately needs to improve to get himself up into Q2, which is really, really weird that we're saying of Mandic's talents, who had 2 consecutive actually podiums as well. He was actually nearly on the verge of joining in with the top 4 battle actually for the for the championship. He does have an outside chance though, but you may never know. It has been shown that he is more than capable of getting that car and just pushing it up into the podium positions. And unfortunately, with the recent string of events though, aside from last round actually, with the retirement in Tuscany and he scored only, I think it was, he did. He didn't actually get himself into the podium in the last 4 races, actually, which is very surprising from the Croatian, though. But it's going to be very interesting to see if Mandic can actually try and improve, because at this rate, Kai Tresnin is actually outperforming him in recent times, actually.
Yeah, you can see right there, half a second off from the pole time, which is not bad, but that would be, I think that would end up about 7th or 8th. But if he continues to if he continues to improve on this third sector, which has this NGK chicane, then goes into this final corner, and I feel like he might just got through after all. Here he goes, rounds off the final corner, and what's his time gonna be? He goes into 10th, top 10 for Thomas Mandic.
That will get himself comfortably up there into Q2 for sure, though, as he's going to have a bit of trouble going side by side. He nearly collides with the McLaren almost, but he manages to put on the brakes just yet. Luca Farina is also out. He's going to set his lap time, which he'll sure to be able to set an improvement. But the question is, how much of an improvement now? I think he's going to be heading into the very few sections left to go. But yeah, he's actually closed up. He's actually sped up a lot more now, as he's trying to use every width of the track to try and gain an advantage for the driver as well, as he's going to slowly start approaching down to turn 7 as well. He's got very good air ahead of him though, which can't be said for the Williams that is behind him, so it hindered the Williams' chances of progressing any further though. But yeah, as it stands, Joseph Frederick Suto's chances of getting himself into Q2 is actually hindered by Mandic's improvement, and it'll probably be the same for Luca Farina, as he's set to improve it though with the times dilling down. Amy Nielsen, though, he does improve on his continuous improvement in qualifying, and as it shows here, as he gets himself up to 9th, which is really good there from the AlphaTauri driver from Estonia. So that'll be very interesting to see, though. So it's good to see that both actually AlphaTauris are somewhat relatively safe into Q2, actually, as Luca Farina comes off in the final few quarter. It is a definite improvement for the Italian as he gets himself into P10, and that will certainly keep him there into Q2 for sure.
Yeah, for sure, for Farina there, one of the Ferrari drivers. And so far, I think here we have a look on Jafari Blackwood's rounds, a couple of corners now. Into turn 7 he goes, and I would currently say, and Samuel Oskan goes up to 6th on AlphaTauri.
On his return as well, Samut Ochkan improves and gets himself he's outside of the trouble zone now, and that will allow for the Swede to progress through into Q2 with an amazing performance there. Something that was capable of Emmy Nielsen a couple of races back, and he has shown that he has not lost his touch ever since his return from injury though. So that's very good. So that will certainly be sure that both actually AlphaTauris will get themselves into Q2 for sure, which is exactly what the team needs for the whole of points. Emily, so we'll head into the pits. He's not going to be improving though. But Jafari Blackwood was actually a very strong qualifier last time round, and he did show a bit of strong pace this time around, which he got himself up as 13th. Can he get that Hassett to Q2? He doesn't. He displaces Kulisek, but there's Julie Cassetti who still has yet to finish the time. So I'm pretty confident that maybe Jafari Blackwood might get himself into Q3, but we shall see it. Can he get some any improvements on there? He's going to go ahead and cross the line, and there's not going to be any improvements for there. Luca Farina, any more improvements from the Italian? Alas, it will not be. Fernando tossed McLaren 4th and 5th, which is amazing for their midfield battle. Thomas Manches actually improves it, gets himself up into 10th, which is very good. The Alfa Romeo driver, the second of the female drivers, actually, she's going to go ahead and cross the line. Also no improvement there for Kozinski, but that will go because that means both one Alfa Romeo will certainly to be getting into Q2. Samuel Oshkam's going to head into the pits, and I think that might be it, unless it's Jafari Blackwood. I think he's already crossed the line and he's already set the improvement. But yes, Jafari Blackwood has got himself into Q2, I think, for the second time this season.
What a performance from a Jamaican driver there. And I think I saw Giulia Giuseppe going to the pits, I think. Yeah, she's gone. I think he's gone to the pits, so that means he'll be out in Q1.
Yep, and that means that the people that have been eliminated from qualifying 1 is Kulisek, Vale, Seti, Suto, and Victor Albom. And that will conclude the first qualifying session here for today's for us qualifying session here. So there's a lot of discussion points here that we need to actually go over about. Most importantly, Kulisek in the Renault, who, bear in mind, were really good performers in France and Hockenheim, eliminated in Q1.
Yeah, that's a bit of disappointment there, I would say.
Yeah, it's very strange, especially for Kulisek's talents as well. He's done pretty good as well. Who got very good performance there. I think it was like consecutive 8th place finishes now. But to get himself right there in 16th, it's going to be very disappointing though. But very good there for Jafari Blackwood to manage to pull Haas car into the Q2 performance. And that will surely be a very good qualifying session to watch here for the next time round, though, because this next session that's going to be ahead is going to determine all the midfield cars' position for the race, actually.
Yep, and I can certainly tell that, well, the next qualifying session, I think will be very close, to be honest, especially the midfields there. Definitely that some of the cards, like, they only spread about 10 for 2. So yeah, it will be interesting to see for Q2 as we're starting right now.
Yeah, this is probably what's considered as probably the tightest of the qualifying sessions here, where all the gaps between the midfield cars are so marginally close. It just takes hundreds or thousands, and it can be the position between getting safe or getting eliminated from heading into Q3, though. But there's a very big advantage between being in the top 10 and being on the outside of the top 10, because it determines the groups and the packs that you are together with each in the driver, as you constantly try and improve and make yourself up the field. And here in the Nürburgring, here for the Eifel Grand Prix, it will certainly not be an exception here, as Kai Tresnia, the Racing Point driver, is the first to go out. He's actually done pretty good so far in qualify 1 now. That's the third time, I think, in qualify 1 that he's actually outperformed his teammate of Thomas Mandic. So it'll be interesting to see how he will open the floodgates this time.
Oh boy, and I think here it goes now. I think Azure is yeah. I mean, he did score a podium back at I think it was the Tuscan Grand Prix back at round 7, but he also enjoyed like 3 DNFs in the season as well. So still not a very consistent scoring points, but still, I think he's doing well. He's getting better. He's actually getting better and better for consistency. So we'll have to wait and see how his laps will develop in this qualifying session, as we have, and already as he was starting the laps, he already faces the traffics up ahead.
Yep, absolutely. Though, as they headed to the Mercedes Arena, I think that was over down at turn 4 now, and now it's going to be a very short straight, though, which is going to head down into a tight corner, actually, turn 5 and turn 6, which is it's actually very important to get this corner right here, as it's going to lead to a run down here. This corner will surely be a very good overtaking spot here, down into turn 7. It's going to be very hard braking, though. It's a very small, not a very small hairpin, but it's one with a large radius. Now, this is a very predominant and quite dangerous corner here, the Michael Schumacher S's, as they head down at 8 and 9, and then it's down into turn 10. It's another hard braking zone, almost a very long chicane as they head down and get a very good exit here out of turn 11. You can see Kai Cherezny is just using the slipstream from the Red Bull ahead. It's a flat out of turn 12 of Adnan. And then it's going to be probably a very difficult chicane ahead of us. You're certain that there'll be an overtaking spot happening here, but given that the tightness of these corners is going to provide a very difficult challenge here. And then it's almost just lifting off the gas for turn 15, though, to go ahead for the home finish straight here, which will complete the lap. It's a 1:31.535 for Kai Cherezny, and that will be a very good staple here, which is immediately been outside by the faster car of Dennis Graf, actually.
Dennis Graf, yep, one of the...
Oh my... Whoa!
1,000th of a second off from the championship leader, man. Samuel Oskan. I think that recovery just pretty much... Wow.
What a statement there from Samuel Oskan as well. 1,000th off the championship leader, as Emi Klice and Zajnicka complete their first laps, though, which is materially far off, though. But that AlphaTauri is absolutely amazing. We might be seeing a chance gained into Q3, Paulson.
Yeah, certainly, Oskan. I mean, yeah, with those recoveries, I think he recovered it very good, I would say. But then, oh boy, and here comes Fernando Tost. 1:31.097, faster than the championship leader and the McLaren driver. Wow.
That's amazing there, but it's immediately replaced by Luca Farina with a 1:31.063. That is 300 quicker than Fernando Jafari Blackwood might get himself into Q3 at this point. And Enes Perutsky comes back over and crushes our hopes with a provisional pole for heading into... Not provisional pole. He'll get himself certainly getting into Q3 though. Emil Nielsen though gets himself into 8th. It's a 7th to 8th. This is going to be a very hectic qualifying 2 here though. As Samet Oshkan proves once again, I think he'll certainly be safe here heading into qualifying 3 though. That Swede is doing absolutely wonders though. And Emil Nielsen is actually way down at 8th as well. But Jafari Blackwood is provisionally getting himself into qualified 3.
I have lost for words on this qualifying session, even though we still have 4 minutes to go. Wow, I think what a qualifying so far. As we see Emilia Konishina about to set her lap times now once again, and my goodness me, Samuel Oskan and Farina in the top 5. I still can't believe it.
Yeah, we're talking about a driver who was once down in like 19th, I believe it was, in qualifying 1, and to get himself that and push that Ferrari, who, let's bear in mind, did not have the fastest of cars, and get himself up into the P4, is absolutely marvellous for him, and it could be a change of fortunes at Ferrari, I hope. Thomas Mantis, though, he keeps himself up into 8th, though. It's going to be not any improvements, though. Fernando Tossa and Kai Teresnia are the only drivers currently into the pits, but they'll expect to have their final runs as the session soon draws to a close eventually, though. Franco Gamba actually gets himself up into 9th. That displaces Jafari Blackwood, though, and it's going to go side by side with, I believe that is Fernando Tostam, I believe, is going to still be going side by side. Dennis Graff improves once again. He'll maintain 4th, though, but Jafari Blackwood is outside the elimination zone, and with that, McLaren ahead of him, he's not going to be improving.
Man, I think that's a bit unnecessary coming out to the pit lane. He should have waited, but he just came out and then just probably ruined Jafari Blackwood's chances of getting to Q3, but I mean, still 3 minutes to go. He might try to go. He might have a go for another one, but would the tires hold up? I don't really think so.
Yeah, we shall see. We shall see. But that, especially if you're outside the racing line, though, it's going to put a massive problem to your tire wear. But Kai Teresnia, the car that we were expecting to get himself into Q3, is actually he's actually last. He's actually currently in 15th, and he's only got such a limited time to improve it as well. But Jafari Blackwood has been absolutely amazing. Pundits and commentators alike, though, by still getting himself up to 11th, which is not an easy feat here, especially considering that Haas is vastly underperformed in comparison to the other cars, though. Franco Gamba, though, he's currently holding up Enes Perutsky behind him, though, but that Renault, one of them is down in 16th, and another one is going to certainly get himself up into maybe even Q3 potentially if there's going to be no more improvements from these drivers at the moment. But yeah, at the moment, he's going to go ahead and cross the line. It's going to not be a big improvement from him. But Jafari Blackwood, Samadochkan and Perutsky are currently to the pits as it stands. So I'm not sure if they'll have enough time to set any improvements at the moment.
Yep, I think I saw Jesper Johansson there improving slightly better and goes up into 2nd place and actually only 2 tenths behind his teammate Enes Perutsky as well. Emil Nielsen, meanwhile, still trying to do his lap time as much as he could, and well, 4 tenths behind the qualifying setter, which is Enes Perutsky. Teresnia, meanwhile, I don't think he's gonna. I mean, this is his last chance, to be honest. This is the last lap for Teresnia. Yep.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. But the session is actually going to be soon drawing to a close, though, with only just above a minute left to go. Though there's quite a lot that's going into the pits. Thomas Manches is going to get himself safe as he gets himself into qualifying 3, which is very good for Thomas Manches, the man that was previously down 20th in qualifying 1. He certainly improved himself, and he has proven that Racing Point is more than capable of getting into the podium here. He's going to be up there with Graf, Klaus Johansson and Perutsky, and he's actually, well, he's not actually quite into the sub-130s at the moment, though. There's a lot of people coming to the pits now. They're not going to set their final lap time, so those ones are going to head into the pits. Their position is going to be where it stands at the moment. Is Jesper Johansson going to have any improvements to displace Perutsky? It will not appear so. Perutsky, I think, will hold on into pole position, I believe. because no one else can improve him, I don't think, unless if Johansson is going for another round. But this man, Kai Chereznia, he is a man on a mission. He needs to get that racing point up into qualifying 3 for the team and for his results personally himself, because if it's going to be down to 15th, it's definitely not going to be exactly what the poll would have in mind. He's going to come up through the start finish straight. Is it going to be an improvement? It's a massive improvement for Kai Chereznia, and he gets himself up into 4th.
Oh my words! That was a big improvement there for Chereznia. So now the qualifying sessions is now over. So we're gonna see. I mean, we are gonna know who's gonna be eliminated in this session, because you see there all of the bottom 5 are actually in the pit lane. So it's all about the top guy, the top 10 guys now. Is there gonna be any more improvements? And Mandic, no, he won't. He will stay in 6th place. Meanwhile, Farina, he's still gonna go for it, and round the final corner, and then coming out of the straight, and what his lap gonna be? It's gonna be 4.
Oh my
He's getting
word!
to the
Look
sub
at
30s.
Farina. Whoa! I'm amazed for Luca Farina and Kai Chereznia. Those are the last names I would expect them to be on pace with actually the top guys, and they've set sub 1 minute 31 times. Actually, they've also faster than championship leader Dan Scruff. He's down in 6th. This could be a big problem for the Dutchman, actually, because he's been in a similar position like this in Hockenheim. But the problem is the nature of the Nürburgring is that it's going to be very difficult to overtake, and we could see him in trouble. But this is qualifying 2, so not everything is going to be set in stone for the grid actually at the moment, apart from the back from 11 down to 15th. Actually, Kai Chereznia will try to improve once again, but there's going to be no improvements there. But Thomas Mandic is going to be safe himself. I'm not sure if he's going to set any more improvements though. But yeah, so that's the people who are getting themselves into qualifying 3 are done for, because from 11 down to 15th, they're down in the pits actually at the moment. So we're just waiting for the card. Mandic will be heading down into the pits, and thus concludes the second qualifying session.
Crazy. I thought the first qualifying is already crazy, but the second one, jeez. Yeah, it is really crazy for the second qualifying session, but my goodness me. So yeah, Franco Gamba, Jafari Blackwood, Lewis McIntyre, Emilia Konishina, and Labas Znishkai be out of Q2.
There's a lot of talking points here we need to talk about for qualifying 2. Like McIntyre, for example, who got himself up into the top 10 in the qualified 1, and then he's seen himself down in 13th, while his teammate Fernando Tost showing very good signs of pace, getting that McLaren into Q3. It's going to be very disappointing for the British, I must say.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, Lewis McIntyre at one point, he was actually, well, I think he was competing. He is 6th right now in the championship standings, so yeah, this is kind of heavy blow to him. And I mean, he scored 2 podiums, but he hasn't scored points in the last 2 races. So let's just hope that maybe he could bring himself back up to the top 10 and maybe score some points.
We shall see as well, but also another mentions as well to Franco Gamba and Cisnitsky, who are also eliminated out of Q2 at the moment. But that's going to be a very hammer blow for them, especially their places at the championship respectively. Samuel Oshkan, on his return, he does so and gets himself into qualifying 3. Very strong performance there from the Swede, I must say. I mean, it's amazing to come back after an injury and to be very good at not have lost your pace and get yourself into qualifying 3 as well. I think he'll be very proud with the position that he starts with, no matter whereabouts in the top 10 it is. But yeah, that's absolutely amazing for Samet, I must say.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And Oscar, I mean, yeah, just like you said, recovering from the injuries, and wow, and let's see. I mean, he's guaranteed a top 10 at this point, so we'll see what position will he place. What will he be placed in this Q3 session? So we're only gonna have 8 minutes in this Q3. So I think Oscar is gonna be the first one to set up the lap time. And I mean, the rest of the field is actually coming out of the pit lane as well. I think there's only 6 cars coming out of the pit lane so far. So some of them I suspect would be the Mercedes and Red Bulls, they're gonna come out last. But here he goes now, Samuel Oskan. We're gonna go on board with him on this lap. So down into the front stretch, nice and easy, and then into the Yokohama S into turn 1. Nice, clean into turn 1, very nice there, and then into turn 2, then into the Mercedes Arena corner into turn 3, and then obviously now into this turn 4. You're gonna have to stay on the left a little bit and then cut through it on the right, and then now into the loose straight, and then into turn 5 and then 6. Yep, you could certainly see that a lot of campers being used here on these two corners. And now down into another straight, and then not really a straight, but into turn 7 we go. Nice and easy for Samuel Oskan. Then into Michael Schumacher S8 and 9. Slightly on the inside there. And then into turn 10 and 11. Nice and easy, and he goes wide just a tiny bit, but I don't think that's going to ruin his lap time too much. Flat out into turn 12, and then into the NGK chicane, turn 13 and 14. Very hard to get it right on that chicane, and then into this hairpin in turn 15, and that's going to complete his lap. And Simon Oskan, what's his lap time going to be? 1:31.566.
That's pretty good there for the first one, though, for Samuel Oskan, though. It's certainly not going to be a top 5 time as we've seen in qualifying 2, though, because the 130s are actually on that league, though. But given that the amount of time that we have, though, it's a reduced time, so that means that there's going to be less time to get the car and the track into optimal temperature. Emmy Nielsen, though, he goes a bit slow, and that's pretty disastrous for him. I'm actually 132.1. That's going to be very disappointing, though. But Jesper Johansson, the man that's on the mission here for this race, he does so by getting it into the 131.3. So that's going to be 1/10 quicker than Alfred Klaus, which probably is all the margin that he needs. And as Paratsky actually splits the two, which will give Johansson a bit of breathing room for the race, actually, if that's the way it's going to stand for the grid, actually. So that's it's all very kicking off here in the final qualifying session.
Certainly is, and I mean Paratsky. Oh, I think he just gone wide there, man. Whoa, for Enis Paratsky. And I think he's probably gonna award that lap, or maybe he's gonna continue on. Fernando Toss, meanwhile, sets a lap time with 1:41.842. That will put him in 5th place, so ahead of Emil Newson, and Farina down in 7th place so far, slower than Nielsen by a 10th there.
Yeah, it's strange there for Luca Farina as well. We've seen him on his performance that he's got himself up into the top 5, and now he's got by far the slowest time in anyone so far in this session. Oh, and just as I say that, Thomas Mandish does 2:1:32.250, and Kai Teresnia topples him by nearly a whole second. But Alfred Klaus improves; he takes provisional pole with a 1:31.249. And Dennis Graf does it with a 1:31.546. Alfred Klaus looks to be on a good position here to get his 2nd win of the season so far.
Yeah, certainly, but it's not giving up. I mean, definitely Johansson and Paratsky, they're not going to give up that easy, because now here comes Paratsky. I mean, that slide, that going wide on turn 3, that cost him a lap there. So he's 1:31.7, so slower than his best lap time by 4:10, so he's going to try again. But Alfred Klaus, yeah, really in a good position here, and also with Samuel Oskan in 5th place still, and considering we only have 2 minutes left, he could be on for a top 5 starting grid here.
Yeah, exactly as well. But you need to remember that Kai Teresnia, who's actually behind him, is more than capable to get that car up into the top 5. Though he's actually not that very far off. He's only about 500ths slower than Samuel Oshka. I think he still might be on the course for improvement, though. So I'm not sure if Samuel Oshka will come out for another improvement. If it's going to be another improvement, he probably needs to do so sooner rather than later, because otherwise he's not going to have enough time on his outlap, though. But as it stands, though, Thomas Magic improves just once again, but it's only for ninth, though, which is really shocking there for the Croatian, which we've seen that he was very capable of getting that car up into the top 5. To see him down in ninth is, well, at least he's into qualifying 3, which is which is a bit of a surprise given it's a first qualifying session, though. But I mean, useful though, he does improve though, and displaces Kai Chirajnia, and he gets himself up into 6th. They'll make it a Scuderia Alfatari, a 5-6, and Jesper Johansson goes and takes provisional pole as the closest stages of the session remains. It's a 131.175 from him.
Wow, what a lap! But I think Parachki is looking to improve. Oh, he's not improving! He's going straight into the pit lane for NX Parachki. I thought he was going to go for it because in his sector 2, he was only 0.28 milliseconds slower than Alfred Klaus, but then of course Johansson took the pole away. So it's all going to be only 30 seconds left on the clock. Fernando Torres goes to 8th place, still no improvements from him. Farina, I think he's probably happy to stay in P10, I would suppose.
Yeah, he's absolutely ages away from the rest of the grid, though. But Dennis Graf, though, that we've seen him complete his first, whenever he completed his first sector, was like 500 slower than Jesper Janssen. So it could be a chance for an improvement, though. But we shall see with that. As we run more back now with Kai Chireshny, he has definitely got the car and the driving capabilities after displacing both Scuderia Fataris now. But that's the qualifying section over now, so he's not going to set any more improvements. Whatever his stance is concrete, he doesn't improve. He stays in 7th. What about Dennis Graf, though? This is the lap down I'm talking about now. This could be the one that changes the entire course of the championship. Is it going to be an improvement? No improvement, but he's still in 4th. And that's going to be very good for Jesper Johansson, who's going to exit the final corner unchallenged for the pole position. He doesn't improve, but he'll take pole position here. Unless Fernando Tost does the unthinkable and manages to get the lead. But there's still chances for him to gain some valuable positions gained, actually, for the Polish driver, actually, as he's heading down into the 3rd section now.
Yeah, now Torsa going to the NGK chicane now. Turns 13 and 14 seems nice coming off of that chicane. But I mean, he's 4/10 off, so I would suppose maybe just enough for 7th or anything that he could salvage. But it's only going to be 8th for Fernando Torres. And now, as we look here, Kaiser Resnia 2/10 off. So he could be maybe in the top 5.
Yeah,
maybe not. But here he goes. And now into the chicane. Oh, I think he slowed down a bit. I think he might go into the pit lane. Yes, he does. He goes to the pit lane. So he will stay in 7th place. So Jesper Johansson will be the pole. Will get the pole here in Eifel Grand Prix. Is there another cast? Oh, yeah, there is another one. There is
performance there from Jesper Johansson as well. He's taking the.
Oh, okay. I thought. Sorry about that, but I thought Dennis Krause would improve onto maybe even a front row start, but he's not.
Yep, and thus qualifying 3 is over and done with. But and that's out to the grid actually for today's race. But it's so many talking points to talk about. Jesper Johansson, though, he takes another pole position added to his books now for this season as well. Whenever he's unmatched and qualified, nobody can really compare to him, to be honest.
Yeah, I would certainly say so, and it's another Swedish front row, I would say. So both Jesper Johansson and Alfred Klaus on the front row. Actually, Mercedes and Red Bulls lining up alongside each other for 2 rows, actually. With Alfred Klaus, and then next row we have Karachki and Graf, which I remind you that Graf and Johansson both are championship contenders, and I mean Graf only leading by 5 points, which is just a very small amount of gap between both of them. But I mean, this race is probably favoring towards Jesper Johansson now, I would say. Yes,
we shall see though, because that's It's very going to be interesting to see how the field will turn out as well. And as we've seen before with the leads can change very rapidly here for the race. But outside of the top four, though, which is a good talking point, though, Stama Oshka and Emi Niso will do a very good improvement there for 5th and 6th, respectively, for Scuderia AlphaTauri. This is probably collectively their best qualifying performance, I think, I've seen in a long time, especially for Oshkan as well, who on his return comes and finishes best of the rest as well, which is absolutely amazing for a man of his talents.
Yeah, certainly. And I mean, Oscar, certainly he is the best of the rest after that qualifying. And I mean, he's going to do good, to be honest, in this race. But we'll have to wait and see because there's still strategies need to be played out on this track. I think we have
Yes,
like
we
other...
shall see.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. You go ahead.
Oh, okay. And then we have the rest of the... Well, I mean, the rest of the field being, you know, Kaiser Resnick and Fernando Toss, both of them. I think, yeah, so Resnick, was initially thought that he would maybe try to go for another one, but it seems like still it wasn't really enough for him, and it seems like, and obviously that Fernando Toss, he was trying his best, and he still only mustered 8th place finish, 8th place starting grid. So, and yeah, for Tomas Mandic and Farina, I mean Farina certainly he seems happy enough to stay in the top 10 and starting in the last of the Q3 guys. But Mandic gonna be a little bit disappointed after, you know, got beaten by Sereshnia once again.
Yeah, okay, so we're going to head down to the grid now for today's race, though, so I'll take the top 10, you take the bottom 10, though. Jesper Johansson, he'll take another pole position to add to his books, though. It's going to be very good for the Swede for the championship fight still along. Following behind him, it's Alpha Class. He's on a course for his 2nd win this season, though. Good there from the Red Bull driver. There is Anis Pratchke for the Macedonian, though. He's still in a chance for maybe his 3rd consecutive win this season, though. Very good there for the Macedonian, though. And Dennis Grev has got all to play for, though, to keep that championship lead alive, though, in his home country, though. He stands 4th. 5th will be Samet Ochkan. It makes it a Swede 1, 2, and 5. It's very good on a return for the AlphaTauri driver, and followed behind him is Emi Nielsen for the Estonian in 6th. Kai Cherezny, he outperforms his teammate and very well does so to 7th. And behind him is Fernando Toss, which will make it a row for 7 and 8 for both poles. And 9th and 10th will be Tomas Mandic. It's going to be very disappointing for him, but he's got a lot to climb up to. And Luca Farina, a good chance of clips for the Italian, but a poor qualifying 3 session made him in 10th.
At 11th, we have Franco Gamba, who, well, I think, goes down, starting in 11th place, and then Jafari Blackwood lines up in 12th place, and then Lewis McIntyre, the British McLaren driver, he will start in 13th today, and then Emir Konishina will go into P14, and then Labas Sasnitsky qualifies in P15. Then Wojtek Kulasek lines up alongside Sasnitsky. And then in row 9 we have Daniel Wale in the Alfa Romeo, and then Giulio Giuseppe lines up alongside him. And then rounding out the field is Juho Frederick Suto, and then Victor Albon lines up in the last row.
Yeah, absolutely as well. This is going to be a very exciting race here for today. For round 11, it's going to be 6 lights now, and it's going to be all to play for here. It's lights out, and away we go now. Jesper Johansson's got a pretty good start, though. As Project tries to have a look down for the inside, though. But Jesper Johansson, he's having a clean line, though. You can see the AlphaTauri driver is still battling out, though. But Jesper Johansson is going to take the outside line, though. As Project will fall alongside him, I think he's going to get a position up there for 2nd, and does so, though, because that will allow... No, it doesn't actually, because I think the Alpha Class will get the outside line up there, and uses the curve, and he maintains that position, though. But it's still going to be side by side between Charles Paratsky, though. though. They're going to be side by side. And meanwhile, behind him, you can see Jens Graf just trying to look down the inside, though. Johansson takes a very commanding lead so far, though. And it's still going to be side by side. Meanwhile, Oshkan's just overtaking he's just overtaken Dennis Graf, the championship leader, and he gets himself up to 4th as well. And that's absolutely... Oh no, and that's Dennis Graf running right. And that's going to be very big bad for him. As Emmy Nielsen's going to be side by side now. They're going to head down into turn 7. He's going to use all the speed and the momentum now. He touches the grass just a little bit, though. And that will allow for Dennis Graf to get a better exit, though. And he'll just maintain 5th at the moment, though. It's going to be very disappointing for those, though. And then meanwhile, in the back, though, you can see Kulisev's just trying to make a move around Sashinski, but to no avail, though. And he touches the grass just a little bit, and that'll allow for Victor Albon to make a move, though. This is a very hectic qualifying one. That's it. Oh no, so far, and that's... Yeah, that was a lot of cars going wide. I think that was Jafari Blackwood as well, who's up into 12. He hasn't actually lost any position, though, but they're going to go side by side between McIntyre and Sashinski behind him. Osanishka just uses a bit of the grass, though. They're going to be side by side through the chicane now. Here they go. McIntyre needs to use the outside line. Oh, who they touch? I think
they make contact, I think.
Romeo driving, yeah. Yeah, I think it was. I think he didn't get, though, they're good there. And that was Sanechki, which is... Oh,
no! Who was that? I think it was...
That's Thomas Mandic, I think it was. Or I believe it might be Mandic. I could be wrong. But, oh dear, that's going to be a very hectic position there. And that's all going to allow all the positions to reshuffle. And it's going to allow some very bad gaps, though.
Are you kidding me? No! And it's not going to work.
Wide once again. And Emi Kosechi ends up the worst of it, though. I think she might retire unless she gets it back on track now. It's going to be another crowded space once again. I think that's the second time we've had a pile-up so far this race so far, actually, which is very disappointing. But it's just all madness, actually, so far. But first 2 laps, though, Jesper Johansson takes a commanding lead, though, with a lot of the positions that allowed.
Yeah, I mean, Johansson, very comfortable lead now, well, about a 1.2 second, but my goodness me, the back... and Lewis McIntyre just goes really wide there. And then also, alongside Wojtek Kulasek, they're going to have to battle side by side now into turn 7. I think McIntyre just about to goes on the inside, and maybe not. Kulasek comes back on the outside line, but here goes into the Schumacher SS. They're still side by side, and I think, yep, Giulia Giusetti, sorry about that. Yeah, it's Giusetti, sorry about that, but Giusetti goes up to 17th now, and now Labasashnik, who was starting like, I think 15th. He's now dropped back to 19th because of all the kerfuffle happened at the front.
Yeah, and get this, Pauza. Jafari Blackwood, who started in 12th, he's got himself up to 9th amidst all the chaos, though. But meanwhile, up at the front, Dennis Graf, he's actually outside of the top 4, which is exactly not where the Dutchman needs to be at the moment. And with Johansson keep climbing on, the German definitely needs to gain some position sooner rather than later. But Samet Özcan, this is a dream drive for him, actually, on his return. He's currently ahead of the championship leader, and he's very good at defending from it at the moment as it stands.
I mean, I still could not believe it, but yeah, certainly a bad news for Dennis Graf, who is actually now at in the top 5, and I mean, he's getting blocked by a sister team of Red Bull. So this is gonna be if he's gonna make a run on the championship once again or defending it, he certainly needs to pass Samuel Özcan and go for the top 4 and the rest of the top 4, actually. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely as well, and you can see the gap between Özcan and the rest of the field. Actually, it's not going to be climbing up very well because that AlphaTauri is not actually capable of catching up, though. And in a demanding track like this, it's certain that Dan Scrapp will need to overtake it sooner rather than later. He's not going to have a look at a move down down to the NGA chicane, but they're going to head down into turn 15, where it's still going to be no movements there from Dennis Scrapp, though. But you'll have the DRS enabled, though. DNS was enabled a lap ago, but we didn't say that because amidst of all the chaos. So meanwhile, Emmy Nielsen and Kai Resniar are in the midst of their fight of their own. But Dennis Scrapp will go ahead and he uses the DRS, but doesn't actually make a move. He may have to look down into turn 1, but to no avail. Dan Scrapp remains P5, and Samet Özcan still remains a surprising P4. Meanwhile, in the back there, that's Franco Gamba making a move, and Luca Farina, they're going to side by side and now allow for Gamba to go ahead and take 10th, amidst of Luca Farina, who's still trying to have a look at the move to try and take 10 back from Franco Gamba actually, but it's very good there. The two Italians battling out once again, and Franco Gamba comes up ahead just on this one at the moment. Meanwhile, here in this battle here, it's Enes Parachki and Alfred Klaus actually. Alfred Klaus is doing actually pretty good to maintain P2 at the moment as it stands. Who's looking on a podium streak actually at the moment, and Enes Parachki is looking to maintain his win streak at the moment. He's like in the midst of 2 wins so far this second half of the season actually, and it's very good for the Macedonian. But he's looking to still maintain that climb though, and Alfred Klaus is going to be the next man on his books. But he's not actually going to be quite close enough, I don't think. But he'll have the DRS advantage though, which Alfred Klaus does not have. Jesper Johansson is actually faster outside of the DRS range, which is going to be very good news for him because it gives him a bit of breathing room though. Meanwhile, in the back there, that's Staniscraft not making a move on Samet Ochkan just yet. Ochkan is still just pulling slowly, like pulling away from Parechki is actually pulling away from Ochkan actually, so it's not going to be any benefit to him though. But here comes once again the battle for second. Here it is. They're going to start here for lap 5, and it will be Alfred Klaus versus Enes Parachki.
Oh, it will be a feisty battle here into the turn 1. They're not going to decide to battle on that corner. I think might be a bit too risky because they're going to have to carry on to the turn 2 and 3 and 4. But I think the most surprising bunch of all is both Victor Albon and Daniel Wale. They started way back, and I mean, especially Albon, who started in last place. He's now up to 12, 8 positions gained for Victor Albon.
Yeah, it's a really good though. He kept his nose clean away from all the panic of the first 2 pileups that we've had there. But you can see there's some clear winners and clear losers, especially Thomas Mandic as well, who was like got himself up into P7 at one point, and then after the pileup though, and involved in 2 of them actually, he's now all the way down to 14th. And also Joseph Suto as well. He's 1.3 seconds from the rest of the pack, which means that he's definitely has some damage on that Williams, and I don't think he'll be able to catch up though, unfortunately. But alas, that thing happens on the unfortunate circumstances where 3 does not go into 1. It's both of them were probably in the aftermath of 3 pileups, and we shall see how the stewards would view that, unfortunately. But meanwhile, up in the front though, Dennis Graf and Samuel Ochkan, they're still in the midst of the battle there. Oh, Dennis Graf can't seem to get close enough to the Swede. Neither can he make a pass that will make it work at the moment. And Parechki's kind of having a similar moment actually with Alfred Klaus, which actually could be a pretty good benefit to Alfred Klaus if he's on a conservative, which means that he can be aggressive and maybe push for Jesper Johansson's actually. Jesper Johansson is gone faster once again, but it's gotten some breathing room. He's trying to have a look down for the inside of turn 1. And they might go side by side actually, and they head down to turn 2 though. That will allow for Parechki, who should have a wire line, to get a better exit. But alas, he's on the curb, and to no avail. It will not work that way, and Alfred Klaus will remain in P2. Meanwhile, on the back there, Victor Albon continues his charge. He still keeps himself up into 12. He could be in a charge for a double Haas points if this stands actually.
Well, yeah, that would be a crazy situation there for both Hasses. So, but I can tell that, well, I mean, if Albon is consistent enough with the lap times, he would certainly go up and then maybe go for a top 10 points finish. But still, I mean, it's still yet to be seen, to be honest. But meanwhile, the battle for second place, that Alfred Klaus still holding on in second place of Enes Parachki, the Macedonian driver. But I mean, Parachki is actually closing now. He's activating his DRS now down into turn 12, and is it gonna be is it gonna be enough? No. He's still gonna stay behind. Gets up to the sausage curve very heavily there, and so I'm really surprised that Samuel Oskan's still in front of Dennis Graf. I think Graf still can't be able to overtake.
Yeah, and speaking of that, actually, Ochkan has actually managed to catch up to Enes Parachki as well. So all this Alfred Klaus defending is actually now going to allow it for a 4-way battle for P2 now. And Enes Parachki knows this. He's going to have a look down for the inside of turn 1 once again. Is going to make it work. How will the entry for this time for the turn 2 work? Is he going to get it wide? He's going to use it wide defense again. But it worked this time for Enes Parachki though. And there's still going to be continuing fighting for turn 3 as well. I think he's just done it. He's got the right speed though. He uses a lot of curb there. But alas, it'll work for him and he'll take it. Meanwhile, in the back there, you can see a battle there between Ochkan and Alfred Klaus. What has happened to Samet Ochkan? My word, I've never seen a man attack it so flawlessly as well. He managed to defend from Dennis Graf, and now Alfred Klaus might be a bit of trouble now. What an amazing performance this is from Samet Ochkan. Has actually managed in a matter of half a lap to close up to Alfred Klaus.
I said it before, I'll say it again. I'm really lost for words for this man. Samuel Oskan, he just on a roll here on the Eifel Mountains. So now, is he gonna be crazy enough to try to go for a third place? I mean, he almost did back at turn 5, but it's a real possibility that he could potentially score for a podium on his return to HDOC Formula One.
Yeah, it's definitely not an alienated sight that we've seen. Scuderia AlphaTauri car actually in the podium places though. Ever since their amazing performance from Emmy Nielsen in Malaysia, there's just been a change and a swift in culture between AlphaTauri to get themselves into the top 5. And meanwhile, McIntyre is trying to make his charge. In the meanwhile, he's trying to overtake Giulio Sassetti, who uses too much curb, and Tolas won't get a good exit, and Sassetti will manage to hold off from McIntyre at the moment. Meanwhile, Kai Cheresky is catching up to Amy Nielsen, but Sam Oshkan and Amy Nielsen, they're both 4th and 6th respectively, which will bring a very good points haul actually for the both teams at the minute. But look at this, Oshkan is still trying to challenge Alfred Klaus, but it can only go so much though, because look at this, half a second between Klaus and Oshkan and Graf as well. But Amy Nielsen, who is away down at 6th, might slowly catch up though if Dennis Graf can't make a move on Samet Ochkan, and maybe that one will probably make another fierce battle there between a Red Bull and an AlphaTauri driver once again.
Yeah, I mean the pace is really what we're looking for, to be honest. If you're consistent enough, and certainly, I mean, if Oscar is actually consistent enough and get close enough to the Red Bull of Alfred Klaus, he could potentially go on to it. But look at all these cars, all these 3 cars got the DRS, so that might spread them out just a tiny bit. But I don't think it will be there for long.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Alpha Class is actually outside the DRS range for Parachki at the moment, so I don't think he's actually going to be very close enough. Yeah, he's no longer in the DRS range as well. It's now going to be a sitting duck now for Samet Ochkan now. He's going to try and make a close in the move. Is he going to make a move down to turn 1? He does it, but not alas. That was smoke coming from Anis Parachki. He locked up there, which isn't going to be very good on regards to his charge to Jesper Johansson, but it might be the silent calling that Jesper Johansson needs, so he doesn't have his Macedonian teammate constantly challenging him. Meanwhile, Daniel Valle and Victor Albon, they're in the fierce battle there for P12. And McIntyre, he's trying to get that McLaren outside of the bottom 2. Bottom 3, along with Sajinski. And Giulio Sassetti, who we've seen as a very good defender, she's currently defending from those 2, so that'll be a very interesting battle to witness. Meanwhile, on the front, though, Samet Ochkan is in a very good favourable position at the minute, constantly defending from Dennis Graf now, and it's Alpha Klaus now no longer in the DRS range within Parachki now. It's 1.3 seconds now, so that will allow for Samet Ochkan to definitely make a move either this lap or the next. But we've seen it before when Parachki made the move on Alfred Klaus, though. It takes patience. It takes patience here in the Nürburgring as well, given the nature of the track here. You need to wait until you're close enough to make the move. And we'll see if Ochkan's maybe close enough here, the chicane, to which he isn't at the moment. But meanwhile, Blackwood and Franco Gamba now. Gamba managed to make easy work of Luca Farina, and it's taken him no worries at all to catch up to Jafari Blackwood now. And Jafari Blackwood will be defending that 9th place for his life, though, to get the man who was the first driver ever disqualified in the session. He might get himself for his first ever points for his Haas career so far. Meanwhile, McIntyre trying to make a move down to Sassetti and doesn't quite work at the moment. Meanwhile, Franco Gamba's going to make the move on Jafari Blackwood now. He's going to take the inside line down into turn 1 now. No quite contact yet though. He's got a better exit, I think, Franco Gamba here for the speed. It all depends on the speed here. He gets on the exit of turn 2. He does it. The Renault outpowers the Haas driver, and for that, Franco Gamba gets himself up into P9. Alas, with the much of the curve to make it work.
Blackwood's still trying to go for it on this corner. Oh, is he close enough? Not really. So he's gonna have to settle for P10 for now. But I think Farina's actually not really catching up. He's 2 seconds behind. So all Blackwood needs to do, just stay behind Gamba, just stay behind the Italian driver, and hopefully that he would, stay close enough.
Yeah, absolutely as well. We've just seen in the background as well, McIntyre has finally managed to overtake Giulio Sassetti for P17 now, but Samet Oshkan still in the midst of a Red Bull sandwich at the moment as it stands, and Kai Chereznia is hoping to overtake Amy Nilsson, who needs to do it quick because Fernando Tost might actually join in the midst of this battle here. Gonna head an exit of turn 15 now at the moment, which needs to have a very good exit though to maintain a top straight line speed, and as Paraschke's actually managed to slowly catch up to Jesper Johansson now. It's now 2 seconds now as opposed to 3.5 seconds now, and a matter of just 3 laps now. So Jesper Johansson could be in a bit of trouble there from the Swede. But Kai Chereznia is going to have a look down for the inside of turn 1 now. Here they go. It's going to be Emil Nilsson versus Kai Chereznia now. It's going to take down. It's going to use the outside line of turn 2 now. And with a bit of track extending and a bit of speed, it will surely work for Kai Chereznia. It does work. I think it does work. I think he might have enough speed here. And with enough curb on the exit of turn 5, he will do it, and he'll get himself up into P6 as well. Oh, that was Fernando Tost actually trying to have a look around Amy Nilsson though. Oh no, they collide!
Contact. They certainly made a contact there for Emil Nilsson and Kai Chereznia, but they're both gone fine.
The battle still continues though for Emil Nilsson. Kai Chereznia is going to have outside down turn 7 though. None of them are going to actually gain any trade any positions though, but Kai Chereznia will finally get the racing point up into P6. So what a fierce battle between those two. That was absolutely amazing, Proza.
Man, that certainly was, but a little bit too close for comfort there. They touched on the rear tires, but it seems that nothing has damage on both those cars. So yeah, great driving for those two drivers. Meanwhile, Daniel Valle still in P13, not really doing well, and I mean still behind Victor Albon, who was trying to defend there from the Alfa Romeo driver. And I think Wale has the DRS into turn 13-14. Wasn't really enough, and he's going to stay behind the Alpha Tauri driver.
Yeah, we can see in the back though, Fernando Tost is going to be another man to overtake Amy Nilsson though, and maybe he tries to look to do it soon. He's trying to look down the outside of inside of turn 1, but he immediately regretted it last minute and went back to the racing line now. But he still maintains 8th though. But we've still got a lot of battles here still going on here, and it's still only just lap 11 out of 29 at the moment as it stands. Samet Oshkan though, he hasn't quite made the move, that defining move in Alpha Class just yet. But he probably needs to do it quickly because I think Downs Graf is actually faster than Oshkan here. Yeah, you can see the gap between those is actually closer than it is between Oshkan and Klaus, even though Alpha Klaus is not within DRS range.
Yeah, Alpha Klaus, I mean, he's not in DRS range, but I mean, even though Oshkan is within the striking distance of overtaking Klaus, I mean, the cars are still totally different from the Red Bulls. Certainly, I mean, because obviously, the Alpha Tauri is the sister team of Red Bull, so they're gonna have a slower car than Red Bull. So I mean, that's why Alpha Klaus still managed to hold on into 3rd place of Oshkan. But I mean, still Graf still can't yet be able to overtake Samet Oshkan. I mean, the track, as you said before, that it needs. Well, it's a patient game. It's all about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my god, that was very close for comfort. That was Sassetti and Sazutski. Sazutski just really wanted to overtake Julie Sassetti right there, but that was very late charge there from Julie Sassetti to move to the racing line at the last minute though. Jesper Johansson though, he sets a fastest time of a 1:31.17, which is going to be a very commanding thing that he'll need to keep his lead ahead of Prečky at the moment. So for Prečky, if he wants to try and maintain his leading formula, he'll probably need to wait once again though. It's still 2.5 seconds though, but we'll still see alas how it will pan out though. Samet Oshkan though, he's actually fading away from Alpha Klaus now as it stands. The tire strategy has probably gotten to the better of Oshkan to get himself as fast as he can possibly can to withstand through these Red Bulls now. And he could be in a bit of trouble there for Janus Graf though. But the thing that he does have a benefit from that Alpha Klaus doesn't is the DRS. The DRS is probably the only thing that's keeping Oshkan into P4. And what's keeping Alpha Klaus actually still within that DRS range, so that these two drivers actually behind him can still catch up. Yeah, you can see just how close now. You can see how close now it's going to do. It's going to be a moment before he gets into the chicane, which he almost thinks about now. Downs Graf nearly thinking about getting on the chicane, but you can see Oshkan is definitely in a bit of trouble now from Downs Graf behind him now. Dan's Graf, we certainly know he's going to lose the championship as it stands. But look at this, Johansson Parachki is now up to 3 seconds now. And they're up by 3 seconds now, so Johansson is once again pulling away from Enes Parachki.
Yeah, I think that's because I think mostly I would say it's due to the tire, the tire wear that they're on right now. I mean, they're on hard tires, and I can definitely tell that these guys they were trying to be cautious with the tires because I think they need to last these tires all. I mean, I would certainly say that. Yeah, they are cautious with these tires, so I mean the lap time is going to be going down even more, and certainly the gap is increasingly likely for Parachki, and he's now 3.3 seconds off from Jesper Johansson. So yeah, tire degradations could play a big factor here.
Yeah, absolutely, though. We can see that Özcan is within just nearly milliseconds away from the DRS range. And I think maybe in the next run now, Alpha Class has suddenly found some newfound pace now. But it's not going to be enough now to catch up, though. Özcan is just about within the DRS range at the moment now, but you can see he's desperately struggling to be behind Daniel Scruff at the moment now as they head for the chicane now. But Alpha Klaus, this is good news for him, because that means in the next run, in his continuing run at pace, that means he'll probably get himself away from danger from Samet Özcan and make himself comfortably into the podium positions. Though meanwhile, Valle just drives over, they make a move on the album, and he's trying to go for the chicane in turn 13 and turn 14. To no avail, though, but that was very close there from the Danish driver, who still maintains 12th position as it stands.
Yeah, Albon really just holding his own, to be honest. And I mean, you could see that he has a train of cars behind him. And now here it goes. Now I think Wale's going to try to go for a move. Is he? No, still wasn't quite really enough there for Daniel Wale. And meanwhile, over here, Labas Niskai. In 19th so far, meanwhile his teammate Luca Farina up to 11th, but I mean that's a kind of slower pace for Zashinshkai. And also with Dennis Graf right here trying to go, and he's gone wide on turn 7. That might make him lost a bit of time on Samuel Özcan there. Fernando Tos really close on Emil Nielsen there, Jamie.
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually really surprised by how much Fernando Tos has actually managed to gain to Emil Nielsen as well. But they're still in the midst of their battle of the own. But Kai Jiraiya is 2.6 seconds away, having just overtaken Emil Nielsen a matter of 5 or 6 laps ago as well. He could be in the charge to get himself into P5 though, and it could be the chance, especially with Özcan still in trouble with Dennis Graf behind, and Alpha Kraus pulling away ahead as well. I think now, heading out to turn 15 now, I think this could be the first time that Özcan will no longer have the DRS in his favour now, and he's going to be, he just about has it now, but how much of it will it really help him though? As you can see, Dennis Graf is just so much faster than the Swede, and it's kind of unfortunate because he's really defending for his life though, just the same way that Sassetti's defending for her life on Sejnitska as well, who's still in 19th. The man who's at 15th down 19th and still finds a way to make trouble and gain positions in a bit of a hobble though. Meanwhile, Daniel Valle and Victor Albon, they're going to head down for turn 1 though. Albon just has about enough of a gap, I think, to maybe withhold it at the moment, and it currently stands at the moment because Valle's just not close enough to Albon to make the move at the minute. Now they remain P12 and P13 respectively though, but that was a very good attempt from Daniel Valle.
Yeah, that's a good try there from Daniel Wale. And meanwhile, on the back there, Wojtek Kulasek trying to go on the outside of Emilia Konishina, but wasn't really enough for Kulasek to make a pounce on her. But still, we're now past the halfway mark of the race, so it will be kind of interesting at this point, especially like these three right here, Alfred Klaus, Dennis Graf, and also Samuel Özcan, still on behind Samuel Özcan there for Dennis Graf. The championship leader feels like the championship lead is about to get away from it.
Yeah, it absolutely is at the moment. So for Dennis Graf, it's kind of like damage control. It's just how much of it can he really just gain in these final moments in order to make the championship lead margin not as severe as it currently stands at the moment, because a difference in the points is really, really massive, especially the championship being heated up at the moment, and for Jesper Johansson, it's kind of a good thing that Dennis Graf has not actually overtaken Samuel Ochkan. But there's only so much that Samuel Ochkan can do without a DRS now anymore. But Daniel Vaz is going to have a second move on Victor Albon once again. That Haas car is very painful to keep around in the downforce conditions like this. Head down into turn 1 though. Daniel Valley will have a bit of the better exit for turn 2. It gives it going to be enough speed. It does get enough speed heading to turn 3 and turn 4. Turn 4 they go, and there we go. Victor Albon is just going to keep it on the outside. Whoa! I think they collided just a bit there, and that will allow for Thomas Mandich to take advantage of the situation. Tries to have a look down for the inside, but to no avail. It doesn't quite work just at the moment. Head out of turn 6 they go, and it's going to be a deep down running through. If there's going to be any positions to be gained or lost here in this corner, we shall see. Nobody is quite close enough though, and at the moment it still remains Victor Albon P12, Daniel Valley P13, and Thomas Mandich P14. That was very fierce, I must say.
Yeah, it certainly is, but I mean, that was a little too close for comfort there for Albon and Vale, but certainly that, I mean, the both of them, I mean, that turn 5 incident there might need to be investigated, I don't know, but that's probably up to the stewards to decide.
Yeah, it's not quite a collision at the moment, but it was very, very close for comfort. Close for comfort, uncomfortance, to be honest. But yeah, that's definitely on the verge there. So we shall see if that sort of thing happens again. But I don't think it will happen next time round, because Daniel Vaz is much more closer to Victor Albon, and Victor Albon will have nothing to do at the moment. He can try and keep as much as he can on the inside, outside of turn 1 though. But Daniel Vaz will just probably have enough speed heading to turn 2 though. Owens may not actually. Maybe he's not actually quite close enough. So it's Thomas Mandich in the inside line. What has happened there to Daniel Valley? What's certain to look like a position gain for Wale is now gone into Mandich's favour, who's gone a bit wide, but has managed to keep the car in control, and that will allow for Thomas Mandich to go ahead. Meanwhile, Kulisic is going to have a look at movement. Emi Kuznicka, and is going to head a little bit on the grass though, but that will allow for Daniel Valley and Kuznicka to be P14 and P15, and Thomas Mandich gets himself up into P13.
Wow, that was another close one, I would say. But yeah, Thomas Mandich taking advantage of, Vale and Albon were battling each other. And I mean, Vale certainly coming out on the worst end of it. And I mean, he went wide and definitely give Mandich a chance to go for it. And he does. Goes up to P13.
Yeah, absolutely as well. You can see Dennis Graf is just all over the back of Samuel Ochkan as well. Ochkan does not have the benefits of the DRS anymore, but it's just amazing how he's managed to defend so much from Dennis Graf now. And alas, it should all good things come to end now, as they're going to be side by side heading to turn 1 though. They'll have Dennis Graf the superior aerodynamics and the power as well. It's going to use a bit of the exit here heading turn 2 down into turn 3. Not much Samuel Ochkan can do. It's been a good run for the Swede, but alas, Dennis Graf gets himself up into P4 finally, and Samuel Ochkan just tries to have a look, is going to try and look down for the inside. Very, very close, really close, but alas, there was not much he can do, and Dennis Graf finally gets himself into a good position for Red Bull, which is a P4 at the moment, which is probably the best thing that he can do at the minute. But it's been pretty disappointing for the German as a last. He's finally overtaken a sister car, at least in Samuel Ochkan as well. But Ochkan is going to be in a bit of a pickle, because the amount of time that he's been aggressive catching up to these Red Bulls, it's gonna be a bit of a danger for him, because Kai Chereznia is 2.3 seconds.
Yeah, that's probably more than enough for him to even catch up. And I mean, he's been patiently waiting for this all day, and I think he will be able to start to push on. But I don't know how much his tire's gonna last though. Meanwhile, Jesper Johansson 1:32.1. That's the new fastest lap time of this race. And I mean, the rest of the field is actually, they're not really improving on their best lap times there. And I mean, Johansson is still stretching out the gap there in the lead with 3.777 seconds. Jeez.
He's been relatively a match throughout this entire race so far. This is probably one of the Swedes' best driving work at the moment whenever he's in the lead, and he just takes a commanded lead. Though Thomas Mandic makes a move on Victor Albon, is going to show Daniel Vella how it is to overtake a Haas car, and is going to do it with a bit of speed now on the exit of turn 2. Surely we'll have enough speed, and he does it to make it work. The Croatian, in a matter of just 3 laps, has managed to overtake 2 cars at the moment, and they're both very valuable for the Croatian as he manages to get. That will allow for Albon to get a bit on the grass though, and that will allow for maybe Daniel Veit to have a look at move. Meanwhile, there's lots of positions in the battle out for though. Is ever going to be very clean ended in turn 2? He does, and Kazuchika just has a little bit of a bad exit out of turn 5. It's turn 5 or turn 6, but they keep in the running through turn 7 though, and at the moment as it stands, all the positions currently remain the same. Oh, that was nearly a twitch there from Daniel Valle. Whoa! He kept that car under control though, but Thomas Mandic has finally overtaken Victor Albon for P12.
Yeah, oh my god, that got sorry for that loud reaction to Valle's almost spinning out in turn 7 there. But I mean, it really is. I mean, the camber of that corner is just really really high there, and I mean certainly that. He almost lost control there, but he's able to keep it going. But now I think I saw Graf improving on his lap time as well, and actually Labas Jasnitsky goes up to 18th now. He's now away and catch up to Lewis McIntyre, who is 17th right now. So both the Williams are now very close to each other, Jamie.
Yeah, I think Sashinshka might have a bit of damage having sustained from the earlier one, which is why it's such a big deficit and it took so much longer to overtake Sassetti. Meanwhile, Joseph Federic and Julie Sassetti are going to be in the midst of their battle of their own for the wooden spirit at the minute, but they surely will bring us an entertaining fight as they do on most occasions now, which is going to be Joseph Fredriksson taking a bit of a wider line on Julie Sassetti now, and it's going to be side by side for the first sector at the moment, with Suto taking a bit of extra curb. And at last he'll try and get P19 away from Julius Sassetti, who will try to use a bit of the downforce to try and keep it ahead. Alas, Joshua Fredriksson will keep himself in P19 at the moment as it stands. Meanwhile, a bit of ahead, Daniel Valle still looking to make the move on Victor Albon, who... Victor Albon, I must admit, has been really good defending from Daniel Valle, but when it comes to Thomas Mandic, it's very different. It's very difficult to defend from a racing point, especially in a car as painful as it is to drive as a Haas at the moment. But alas, Victor Albon has actually done a pretty good race result so far here. I mean, albeit not as good as Jafari Blackwood. Meanwhile, I think Jafari Blackwood, I think he's got a good enough gap to get himself his first points position this season for Haas, actually.
Yeah, certainly for Blackwood, and he's keeping his pace nice and calm there, and Mandic improving his personal best lap time there, 32.719, so he'll go further and further now. And meanwhile, yeah, this train of cars still going on, and meanwhile here, Fernando Toss closer to Emil Nielsen now, 0.6 of a second. But it still wasn't really enough, to be honest. So he's going to stay behind Nielsen for now. And Kyber is as well in 6 as well.
Yeah, we can just see that Emil Nielsen is just a bit of the DRS range from Kachireshi. Shirajni is once again pulling away once again. But it's about how much that he can do it as well. I don't think Kachireshi, with the amount of time given, with 8 laps to go, can actually just catch up to the top 5 position. I think it's too far away of a grasp for him. But Samuel Oshkan as well, who I expected to be dropping like a stone, having just defended so much from Dennis Graf, is still within the DRS range of Dennis Graf, actually, still within 6, 7 tenths of him. So there still could be a chance for Samuel Oshkan to take 4th back away from Dennis Graf, actually, if the circumstances ever pose to be right. But meanwhile, Victor Albon and Daniel Valley are still going to be in the battle for their own. Not quite much of a position changes here at the moment. They're still going to be very close to each other. But here they go, here outside of the turn 15 now, which is going to be lap 22 out of 29. It's going to be very, very exciting here for this battle here. Albeit for no points, but albeit it's going to be a very fun one regardless anyways. Here it comes now, Daniel Vella. He's not making any moves just at the moment on Victor Albon at the moment. And now everyone's going to keep it very clean now heading into the first sector now. So that'll probably be no positions gained or lost there at the moment.
Well, I think that's Fernando Torres still, I think, a little bit closer. He's getting like only like 100th of a second per lap, but I mean, I mean, just like Jamie said that it's this track is always the patience game, that you need to be a little bit patient on what are you going to do in this this couple of corners. So you have to think wisely and try to set the goals in mind.
Yeah, it's really notoriously difficult, especially given the track's length as well, which means that every move that you make, even if it's a failed one, is going to have an everlasting impact on your race, especially in these tires here, which they have to keep it until the very end, which is going to be very hard because every failed attempt that you get outside of the racing line and you're not in that optimum racing line, which is actually bad for your tires, it's going to have everlasting impacts on your pace, and you could end up seeing yourself defending, as we've kind of seen with Ochkan just a bit whenever he's constantly defended. And you can see Fernandez has trying to have a look down for the inside of Emi Nilsson, but to no avail at the minute, which will currently keep Emi Nilsson still in 7th and Fernando Toss still in a reluctant 8th place for him at the minute. But meanwhile, this battle right here, that was Kozlicic just going a little bit outside the race line though, trying to use, I think that was Victor Albom's slipstream though, but Daniel Valle at the minute, he's not trying to get close, he's not quite close enough at the moment to Victor Albom, but I think that's because Albom has taken the DRS from Mandic at the moment, which has just allowed him to get a bit close. So I think the moment that Victor Albom does not have the DRS range, he's kind of a sitting duck, and that will allow for Daniel Valle to finally strike though, but it needs to do so quick because it is lap 23 out of 29.
Yeah, it is. Toss is still, very close to Emil Nielsen. It's now 0.4 of a second now. So it will be really close for him to close up to Emil Nielsen. But just like you said, it's now lap 23 out of 29. And it's going to be very close for some of these guys to, make a move on these last 6 laps of the race. So we'll have to wait and see. And I mean, Fernando Toss actually has a DRS now at this point. So it will be certainly interesting to see these two battle each other to the end.
It's going to be a big crescendo this race is going to be now. And Emmy Nielsen now, who does not have the DRS advantage now anymore, is going to have to try and defend as much as he can from him now. Is going to down into turn 1 though. Fernando Toss has just a bit of the edge. He's got an enormous edge actually. I wasn't expecting him to be so fast heading to turn 1, and he's done it before turn 2. That is very commanding there for Fernando Toss as he gets himself up into P7 now. And Amy Nielsen has been demoted back down to P8 though. But that was a very good there for Fernando Toss to get enough speed. Meanwhile, amongst this chaos, Victor Albom, he still holds on to P13 at the moment. Daniel Valle has a look down for the inside of turn 1, which doesn't quite work at the minute, but it's kind of separated the grip just a little bit, but eventually it will close back up. Eventually, as we get down to lap 24 of 29, we've got 5 laps to go here, and there's still a lot of positions to play for.
It is still plenty. Well, there's still a couple of laps to play for the midfields, but certainly Graf is actually closing to Alfred Klaus now. And he's bringing
Oshka with him actually. Yep. He's actually bringing Oshka with him because he's still within the DRS range now. And you can see the background, Kai Churizhin has finally got down to the 1.9 seconds gap now. He has not been within the 1.9 gap of anything since lap 3 or lap 4, ever since the pileups that have occurred. But alas, we shall see now. It's going to be lap 25 out of 29 now. 4 laps to go. It's going to be very, very troublesome now for Alfred Klaus. The man that looks set to score his another podium in Germany is now going to be under threat now from Dennis Graf at the moment, who's trying to at least take some commiserations for him at the moment to try get himself to at least 5 seconds behind Jesper Hansen as opposed to 7. Meanwhile, here in this position here, Victor Albom is definitely now not within DRS range at the moment. He's surely going to need to defend from Daniel Valle at the minute, as Daniel Valle has still not made the inside move on him into turn 1 just yet, despite being very close. He's really being really patient to him at the minute, but alas, Victor Albom still remains in P13 at the moment.
Yep, and I mean, Valle still can't be able to overtake Victor Albom on 13th position. So I mean, it's really, honestly, it really feels just like if he's waiting too long, the lap's gonna be over and he's gonna stay in 14th. there's still a couple of laps left, so he better make that move quick.
Yeah, I think Samuel Oshkan is just outside the No, he's still in the DRS range. Yeah, but Dennis Graf actually is just imposing such pace at the moment. I don't think Samuel Oshkan can have the DRS range for much longer, which means that he's going to be in the outside fight for this battle here between Klaus and Graf at the minute, which I think will ruin will not have any changes on his race at the minute. I don't think. Lap 26, lap 29, 3 laps to go now between these two here. Two fierce teammates now at the moment. Alfred Klaus and Dennis Graf. It's going to be the position for the final podium position at the moment. But is it too late for Dennis Graf? Has he waited too long for it to happen though? But we shall see. Meanwhile, Daniel Valle is going to head out the exit of turn 15 at the minute. He's going to use the DRS range once again. It's going to DRS zone. It's going to take Emily Kazicia, Kulisec and McIntyre with him as well at the moment. But alas, there won't be any moves made here because the Noxia's quite close enough at the minute. Still lap 26, lap 29 though. Still about a couple of laps left to go. So I don't think there's going to be any rush for him at the moment. As long as he keeps making gains to him at the minute, which is what he needs to do. Ochkan is actually 1.3 seconds. I don't think he's going to have the DRS range this lap, or surely at least he will not activate it. I don't think headed into the second DRS zone at the minute. Heading down to the second sector though they go for Dennis Graf and Alfred Klaus is going to be very close to him now with the DRS range intact. Yep, that's all. Samuel Oshkan outside of the DRS range for sure. But Dennis Graf is going to look down for the inside of the chicane. Is going to make it to no avail. To no avail for Dennis Graf at the moment. Alfred Klaus still remains at P3 at the minute, but he's very, very troublesome now. It's going to be a very big worry for him because he really wants a podium position, and so does Dennis Graf as well. But he's gotten even closer now, heading into lap 27 out of 29, though with only 2 laps left to go in the penultimate lap. They're going to head down for turn 1. Is it going to be enough speed for Alfred Klaus at the minute to keep hold of it? He keeps it just at the minute, and he defends from Dennis Graf at the minute. Alfred Klaus very defending for him as he remains at P3.
Remains in P3 there, Alfred Klaus, but still there's another lap to go for him to try to go for a move for Dennis Graf. So meanwhile on the midfield, all the way to the midfield there, Daniel Watt is still yet to be able to make a move on Victor Albom there. So, I mean, it's not going to be too long, I don't know, but he still have one more chance to overtake Victor Albom. Meanwhile, Dennis Graf in P4, still just behind Alfred Klaus, and also Samuel Oshkan is now vulnerable because he doesn't have a DRS, so could be Kai Reshner to catch up to Oshkan there. But I think the gap might be enough for Oshkan to stay in 5th place.
Yep, absolutely. I don't think that Kai Reshner will have enough of a time to close up to Samuel Oshkan, so I think he'll keep P5, and on his return after injury, that's going to be some very valuable points for him. I think that's his best race result this season, I believe. I think so. It's his best race result this season, though. We're heading into the final lap now, though. So this will mean that Dennis Graf will only have 2 more chances now to make the move with Alfred Klaus. Is he close enough to make the move into turn 1? He isn't at the minute, which means Alfred Klaus will just about have the edge here. What about this little battle here between Franco Gamba and Amy Nielsen? Gamba has done absolutely amazing to catch himself up into Amy Nielsen, but to no avail. Is not actually quite close enough, though. But what about Valle and Albon? Meanwhile, they're going to head down for the exit of the final corner, and they enter into the final lap now at the moment. Here they go. He's going to use a bit of the slipstream now. Could this be a bit closer? Could it actually do wonders for Daniel Valle? Is he going to make the move? And he has a look down. He has a look through the inside, and it doesn't actually quite work. He's not quite close enough, and it's not going to get him a good exit, which means that Victor Albon, I think, will just about have at the moment now. So I think that's all the positions that stand at the moment, unless there's another chance, which is the chicane ahead. That chicane is going to be a very tight one for all the drivers ahead. As you can see, Emily Nielsen is just defending that car for Franco Gamba. Gamba's done absolutely amazing, who was like outside of a chance from scoring a point, and now he's managed to overtake Jafari Blackwood very quickly, and now he's actually managed to catch himself up to Amy Nielsen amidst the gap though. But meanwhile, up in the front, Jesper Johansson has done an absolutely remarkable job. He's done everything he and the Mercedes need to do without any troubles, without any fighting. He doesn't bottle it this time. Jesper Johansson comes across the line and he runs the Eifel Grand Prix and takes the championship lead. As Paraschke makes it a Mercedes 1-2. Hoo, that was Franco Gamba almost making a move at Emmy Nielsen, but Alfa Cross just holds off Dan's Graf, which makes it Red Bull P3, P4. Daniel Oshka makes it a P5, Kai Shirashini a P6, Fernando Tost P7, Emmy Nielsen will just fend off Franco Gamba for P9, and Jafari Blackwood, he scores his first points of the season, and in his time as Hasfer as well. He does really well for the Jamaican. He gets us up into 10th, and Luca Farina, he misses out on a podium chance, but he gets us up into 11th. Simmons manages in P12. Victor Albon manages to fend off from Daniel Valle for P14. And then Kozicia P15, Kulisec 16th, McIntyre 17th, Kazishkai in 18th. It's a disappointment for the Ferrari driver, but the P19, P20 goes to the two Williams respectively. What a race!
Wow. So yeah, certainly. Well, I think that was actually a good race. We saw a lot of actions, but certainly up front, I mean, Jesper Johansson just literally controlled the field there, and I mean he started pretty good and then just hold that lead until the end.
Yeah, absolutely as well. I mean, that was a really good performance there. But last, we shall look at the unofficial classified race results at the minute. Jesper Johansson takes another win on his books as well. A pole position, a fastest lap, and a race win. That's probably I think this is the second time in his in this season that he's done a triple header. Hans Parachki follows behind him with a pretty good P2, but alas, it cannot catch up to Jesper Johansson, which is good for Mercedes. It makes a Mercedes 1-2, takes the lead in the structures. Alfred Klaus, he continues his podium streak as he finishes in P3. It's his second podium in Germany this season, and following behind him is Dan Scraff. Very disappointing for him. He kept himself fighting, but alas, all he can manage is P4. Samuel Ochkan makes it a Swedish 1, 3, and 5. Very good on his return as well, and was up as P4, nearly in the challenging for P3, but P5, he could be very happy with that. Kai Chereznia did pretty good for him. The Polish driver is in 6th. Fernando Tost will make it a Polish 6th, 7th. The Solmakaren driver in the points, he will finish in 7th. Emmy Nielsen, it's a AlphaTauri 5-8, a good points haul for them in their midfield battle. Franco Gamba, the Renault driver, he comes home at night, and Jafari Blackwood gives home Haas a memorable points finish as the Jamaican finishes in 10th.
And in P11 we have Luca Farina, slightly off after starting in P10, so he will eventually finish in P11 there. Thomas Mandic, good comeback, but got caught up in a second powered up there, going 3 wide into the turn 1, so it wasn't really pleasant there. But he still finishes in P12. Victor Albon, starting from last, finishes in P13. Very good performance indeed from the Danish driver. Daniel Valle, I mean, he probably waited for too long there. Finishes in P14. Emilia Konishina will finish in P15, just behind her teammates. And then we have Wojtek Kulisek in P16. Certainly a dull race for him, so he would probably gonna forget about it and move on to the next race. Lewis McIntyre will finish in P17 today, and then Labas Jasnishkai, I think he's finished where he started, isn't he? And Joseph Frederick Schuto will finish in P19, and then Giulio Giusetti rounding out the top 20.
Yes, so that concludes the Eifel Grand Prix of 2020 here at ACOC. Next week we will be heading to Portugal for the Portuguese Grand Prix here in the ACOC F1 calendar at the minute for round 12 of 16, and along with that a Formula 2 will also return also to Portugal as well, and following alongside it will also be Porsche Super Cup as well. So Porsche Super Cup will be coming on Thursday, predictably Thursday, and then Formula 2 on Friday. Formula 1 will return this almost same time next week. And Super Formula, I think we'll be doing it either tomorrow or at some point, but stay tuned for that as it comes home, as we'll be going to Dubai for the Dubai Autodrome for round 7 of 10 of Super Formula. But alas, that has been the Eifel Grand Prix. And before we go and wrap up today's video, we shall elect driver of our day. So what's your driver of the day?
was really a bold. It's really a tough pick, to be honest. But I mean, Johansson really, you know, he really is on point today and just leading every single lap. But certainly, in the midst of a return, I would certainly say Samuel Oskan deserves a driver of the day.
Yeah, I think your choices are. I think that's a pretty good, valid explanation as well. On his return as well to do a very well good qualified session, and to do that and outpace a championship leader cannot be overlooked at as well, and especially in a far inferior car as well. I think Samuel Ochkan is definitely worthy of a driver of the day. Meanwhile, I think Jesper Johansson. I think he deserves my driver of the day at the minute because he's learned from his mistakes back in Hockenheim, where he lost the championship lead and race lead all in that race as well, and to do it in such a commanded way as well by outperforming Enes Parachki as well, and he still does that ever so very comfortably as well. I think this week gets my driver of the day though, but a very good drive from both Samuel Oshkan and Jesper Johansson. Also, notable mentions go to Jafari Blackwood and maybe also Victor Albon as well for very good defending as well. So alas, that has been the ACOC Eifel Grand Prix. We shall see you next time. I have been Jamie.
I've been Hauser.
Thank you very much for watching, everyone. We will see you back very